Alright, we're going to try to do the back doors on the Chrysler 300. I already got the front doors done. Doesn't seem to be too many videos on back doors, so I'm going to try to make one. Got the door taped shut, keep it straight, hopefully. A little spacer on the bottom down there just to hold it up. You got your factory hinges. 4 bolts on each one, 2 on the body, 2 on the door. 1/2 inch socket. Take all these loose here and here, and then pop them off. So we got these two. Got the one on here. This is the end of the one on the body. Take that off, and that should just come right off. Look, there it is. We'll do the same thing on the bottom one. Got the 2 bolts out from the door. Got the last bolt, 3rd bolt on the body. And this is the last one on the bottom. And then it just comes right off. There it is. And you want to make sure you tape it up or do what you got to do to hold the door, because mine's already falling because I'm a lazy bastard, and it started falling as soon as I started taking the bolts out. So make sure you have a good way of holding up. I don't know if my tape's just punk ass or what it is, but here we go. All right, next I'm gonna go ahead and take the wires out that go to the car. Got a little, where we at? It's got a little thing in the top there. You poke it with a screwdriver and it'll pop out. Go ahead and slide that out and unplug it. Just kind of move it out the way. Oh, there's one on top and bottom, I guess. There it is. There we go. Work it out. Got a little thing right there you push. Push that in and pull it out. Got it apart. And there is a little bit of slack you can pull out from the body here, just to make sure it doesn't fall back up in there or whatever. Kind of keep that stuff out your way there. Alright, so this is the hinge. And I just dropped it. So this is the hinge. Now the holes on the hinge, where the bolts go, on the door side of the hinge, this is the only one you have to do this on. The distance between the holes are greater than the bolts on the door. So you have to cut with a little cutoff wheel or whatever you got. Cut this bottom bolt. Once you get the hinge bolted up with that bolt gone, you're gonna have to drill a hole down here where the hole is on the hinge. Drill a hole and tap it M8 by 125 tap, 17/64 drill bit. So we'll work on that right now. Alright, these are the top 2 bolts on the door. Got my handy dandy little Dremel tool with the cutoff wheel. So cut it off flush as we can with the body there. Gonna throw sparks everywhere, so Yeah, so I'm gonna do that. We'll be back. Here we go. Alright, that's what it looks like cut off. It's kind of as flush as you can get it. Now we can mount the hinge. See what we got. Here we go. Alright, now I got the hinge on. Got the bolts to the body. There's one nut, the factory nut, that holds it on the door. And then you got the hole down here that has nothing because you had to cut that stud out because it didn't line up. This is where you're going to take your 17/64 drill bit. The directions say drill it close to the inside of the hole, towards the body. So I guess that's what I'll do. But you're going to have to drill that hole 17/64 and then tap it with the M8 1x25. The M8 1.25. M8 by 1.25, you stuttering fuck. Yeah. Everything, shock's hanging. There's a plug stuck out earlier. Still just hanging out for a minute until we get to that part. Now the bottom hinge only mounts to the factory holes. These studs on the bottom from the door are gonna just be there unless you want to cut those off with the cutoff wheel also. Maybe spray paint it a little bit, whatever you want to do to clean it up. I'm just gonna leave mine because I'm a fucking lazy fuck. Yeah. But we're gonna mark this hole, drill it, tap it. We'll be right back. Here we go. Now that's where you want to use your tap. M by 1.25. Now that we got that right. Tap that just like I would. Put one of the bolts that it sends with it in there. Here we go. And I'm just going to use the old basic tap. Got an AutoZone, like $7 or $8. Metric. Comes with about 4 of them, I believe. Use a little cheater bar to work it back and forth until we get through enough. I'm not going to go all the way down the shank, but here we go. So I got my tap in there, and what I'm doing is just working it back and forth. I got me a little cheater bar or wrench, put on the end, work it back and forth, a little more to the top every time, working itself around, creating the threads in the hole there. Anyways, trying to do it with one hand sucks. Put the phone down, do it again. Once you get in there far enough, this thing you'll just be able to spin by hand. That's when you know you're all the way through. And I'm good to go with that. So just work its way out. And there we go. Now we got a threaded hole to put our bolt in. Looks like shit, but you won't be able to see it. Looks way worse on the screen than it does in person. So we're gonna put a bolt in there. Bolt went right in. Get it pretty good and snug there. And there it is. There we go. Now we're going to take the bottom part of the hinge, mount it to the factory holes to the body, and then that's where the shock will sit. So we'll get that working. Here we go. Kind of wish I would have cut my bolts out there on the door, but I mean, at this point, you still can if you have the little Dremel tool. In the directions it says take the door off and do all this, but I'm not taking the door off because, like I said, I'm a lazy fuck. However, getting it done myself. Now at this point, I'm gonna open the door. I'm gonna need a helper to hold the door up for me. Got to take the inside panel off the door and the wires that go through the door there. On the inside there is a, if you follow those wires, there's a wire strap you got to cut with a pair of dikes. And then there's just a little clip that it sits in. Pull enough slack out. It's only going to be about an inch or two. You're going to need to pull enough slack out so that once the shock is in, this can fit behind it. There's enough room for the door to go all the way up and it still goes into the hole like factory. So we're going to work on that now. Alright, I got the door open. At this point, whenever you open the door, I mean, it will hold, but it falls down some because everything's not set on it. Ideally, you want to do this very first step before you take the factory hinges off. That way you don't have to worry about the door sagging or anything like that. I'm going to take a little handy dandy little flathead screwdriver. Pop this tab off inside the door. That pops off. And the one behind the handle. There's a little Phillips head screw down in there. Take those two out. And then there's little pop snap things that just got to pop loose around the door here, and it'll come out enough to reach in there and pull the slack off that you need. Cut that wire strap and pull the slack out that you need enough for the harness to go back in the body. So here we go. Got the doors, the door panel popped off. And if you look in there, you'll see where the wires come through. They're on the other side there. I'm just going to have to reach through and do it. There's a little clip right here that holds it in. You just pull it out. Gives you, like I said, just about enough inch, about an inch, enough to get that plug in with the door raised up. Alright, so inside the door panel, about halfway down the door, there's a clip right there. These wires are behind it. And then there's a zip tie right up in here that you need to cut. Pull the wire loose, pull that wire out of that clip. Go to the other side of the door there, by the front door, where the wires come out of the door with the plug on it. Just kind of work you a little bit out as much as you can. That'll give you enough. Plug it back up and put it back in the body hole. Put your panel back on. Yeah. Alright, got the door panel put back on. Got my slack. Got the wires connected back. Now I need to have the helper hold the door up so that the swivel here is out of the way and you can get that plug back into where it goes. Yeah. Alright. Got the door being held up. Got the plug back in where it goes here. Now at this point we can put the shock down in the little where it goes in there. And then they'll have to lower it down a little bit so that you can thread the other end of the shock into here. You'll use Loctite on them threads there. That way it don't back out. Shouldn't. There's also a little safety, there's a pin. You see a hole down here at the bottom there. There's a pin that goes through it. This little carrier pin that holds it. And once we get that on, have to make some adjustments so that the door sits straight up. It doesn't fall when you open it. There's an adjustment bolt back here on the back, square head. Here we go. Got that on. Got the shut threaded in. I haven't put the pin in it yet, but it goes down there. At this point, there it is. Front door has to be open for the door to go up. Yeah. Alright. So what I got going on here, door comes down. See how it's down. So what we're gonna do, it goes up. There is an adjustment screw. Let's see, right there. That black square head. You want to, like you're unloosening it, so turn it to the left. It'll bring that bolt out, which will stop how far down the door comes whenever you close it. So let's tweak with that a little bit so we can get. All right then. All right, so after just a couple of turns of the old adjustment screw there, comes down, shuts, and that's it. Yeah. Riding, styling and profiling. Woo! Hey, Yoda.